doubt. The idea we have to think about it. Now think about your own high school self. You are back and there's no impulsivity control. There's no filter on what comes out of your mouth when you're 15 or 16 years old. And the teacher says, obviously the golden doubloon posted to the mast of the sailing vessel is supposed to symbolize man's inhumanity to man. And you're like, how do you know that? This book was written in the early 1800s. Did you know the author? You look old enough. But the idea that the teacher actually says, do I know that this is what the author is trying to symbolize, or am I just repeating what somebody told me back in college? Doubt keeps us humble. And it keeps us also vigilant. That we're doing the right thing, that we're constantly assessing what we do, and we're correcting things that we find lacking. But here's the weird thing, and those who've been leading teachers for a while, you know that. In order for a teacher or us to accept a new idea, we have to first admit what we were doing was wrong, or less effective than our ego thought it was. And that's scary. Do you create a culture where it's okay to revise your thinking in light of new evidence? I hope. Do you guys remember Sully? Yeah. Emerson said this. The hero is the one who's braver 5 minutes longer than the next guy. Can we cultivate in others being brave 5 minutes longer? That tenacity and grit in courage, I think. Now, Ambrose Redmoon was a rock band manager back in the 1960s. And oh yeah, he was a quadriplegic on the side. But he was a quadriplegic. And he said this, it's been one of my tenets as I operate in education. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the judgment that something else is more important than that fear. So what do you think is more important than your fear of rejection, or it may not work, or politics might have a fallout of some sort? That's interesting. What will I elevate above that fear? What might happen? This moves us in the idea of mindset. I'm trying to create a paradigm shift. I don't care about 20 cents paradigm. I want paradigm. The idea that it's 89% mindset, only 10 to 20% craft and mechanics of pulling it off. So, if that's the case, what do I mean by mindset? Calvin and Hobbes said it beautifully. In case you can't read that, it says, all thinking begins with wonder. That would mean if I want my own students to think in a classroom, or my teachers to think, I have to create a sense of wonder, curiosity, and make it so compelling that you can escape only by thinking. I could do that in faculty meetings. I can do that in my classroom when I'm in the classroom. Or how about this? That was actually said by Fred Friendly, who was a television producer, about a TV show. But that's what I'm talking about with classrooms. To make the agony of decision-making so intense we can escape only by thinking. This is mindset. This is powerful stuff. In a children's hospital in Philadelphia, this is how the window washers are dressed. Is that not the coolest mindset? Mommy, Daddy, Batman washed my windows! That's so cool. This is what we're about. We're focused on that. Now, this is interesting for mindset. This was a note left by a high school freshman, grade 9, on the kitchen counter for a teacher friend of mine. All right? So see if you can, those of you in the far side, I don't know if you can see it, but maybe you can. Try to read what this child is trying to write as information to mom that afternoon. All right? Who did he call? Car teams. He's getting ready to get his driver's license up. He's going to start doing the driver education program. Good. What is he doing right now? With whom? J. Man Brand. And which pool is he swimming in? Mill Pond. You were able to make it out. This is the way he did most of his schoolwork. He tested off-the-scale, brainiac, genius in math and science. But he got F's in almost everything because, one, he couldn't write along the same line. There was fine motor control issues. He couldn't spell very well. And they said, oh, that's going to be the indicator of your mastery, your level of spelling. Every single grade level, kindergarten through 12th grade, he couldn't spell, he couldn't figure out the spelling, he just had this issue with spelling, could not do that, and his only value, or his only mark was based on the degree to which he could spell something correctly, and then they'd show the mastery beyond that, but they wouldn't give him credit for the mastery unless the spelling was there as well. This is a weird mindset. This is an unhealthy mindset. He went through depression. He tried to drop out of school several times. There were even hints in high school of suicide because he, again, was brainiac genius off the scale of math and science. How interesting is it then that he finally gets to college, university level, and they don't really care about that. You can put whatever program you want together, you will turn it in, but use resources, do spell check and things like that. This was the title of his freshman year, very first paper he ever wrote. Is he spelling okay? Yeah? Punctuation's a little bit off, but that's all right. But is it higher order thinking skill for a college freshman? This looks like a graduate school study, okay? But finally he came into his own, and people appreciated that stuff. How ironic is it then that this was his graduating diploma? They misspelled his name. There's a Jacob Aronson out there that can tell you a story. So think about the teacher mindset. What are you really about? Mindset pretty much is everything. Now, I was in my hallway, the doorway of the hallway, and that class exchange was there. Now, some of you have schools where you go outside, obviously. The weather's fine. You go outside the corridors. But back in the East Coast of the United States, we're in hallways, indoor hallways. So I'm standing in my doorway, drinking my tea or my coffee, letting the Hormone River just pass me by. Hello, how are you? Keep on going. You have 3 minutes. Let's move it, move it. My colleague comes out 4 classrooms away. Is that a lot of hallway real estate? Yes. He's yelling over their heads, which is pretty loud because all it does is smell like bubblegum and Axe. But now, we're yelling over that, and here's what he yells so that I can hear it. He's waving his hands. 4/5 of my kids keep failing their tests. We'll screw them if they can't study. You're not allowed to think those thoughts, let alone say them out loud. Oh, I need to save my friend from himself. This is what good colleagues do. So, I dove into the Hormone River and I swam upstream. Excuse me, sorry, I put that on my desk. I'll talk to you later, your mama. And I'm trying to think, what am I going to say when I get to my colleagues and get him to quiet down and not say that stuff? What if there are parents in the hallway? Well, there are parents by proxy. Children will call and tell mom and dad. So the only thing I think of as I'm going through all the students is perhaps you've misjudged the date of your retirement. I didn't say that, but I thought it. As much as I'd like to say that. But when I got there, I said, if 80% of the kids keep failing their tests, maybe there's something wrong with what you're doing. Now get into the classroom and live up to the promise of teaching. I actually said that. It was a Hallmark card moment. Felt like Rudy in the movie Rudy. And here's what he said. Wait. I'm sorry to all the children passed by that did not have him as a teacher. Wonder why this strange man was so publicly apologizing. But he goes in his classroom, closes the door, and there's 36 eager faces looking up, wanting to be inspired about Mesopotamia. And he has to get his act together. So if the kids fail to thrive, do I blame the child or circumstance, or do I look at that stuff and also analyze my own decisions? This is mindset. And this is a mindset we want to inculcate, so to some degree, inside our teachers. Think about it. When you go to the dentist office, and you're sitting on the couch, you're there just for a cleaning, and you're reading highlights for children, because somebody took the adult magazine and filled out the Sudoku puzzle. And just as you find the last object hidden in the leaves of the tree, if you don't recognize what I just said, go to your dentist more often. The dental hygienist calls your name and says, ready for your root canal? What? You get up off the couch. No! There's a clerical error. I'm here for a cleaning, a checkup, no root canal. And the dental hygienist says, oh no, it's Friday. All day long, anybody who comes to the door, root canal for everyone. What a quack! What arrogance to assume diagnosed and undiagnosed, everybody gets the exact same treatment. It's the same quackery. It's the same arrogance. For a classroom teacher to stand in front of a group of children and say, this is the only day you have to learn direct and indirect object, or demonstrate final mastery thereof, or forever hold your peace. That goes against everything we know. That's the teacher hiding behind the factory model. And it's our role as leadership to catalyze them, to get them out of it. Notice I'm kind of using a gesture of a cattle prod. So now, Jaime Escalante, do you remember Stand and Deliver? His attitude, his mindset was, of course, Hispanic populations or anybody disenfranchised in inner city LA. Of course they can do calculus, and not just calculus, AP calculus, and pass the AP exam. as long as they work hard enough to do that. And we don't let them have excuses and work very hard. And so they did it, and they performed really well. And the state of California said, we don't believe you. And they had to go back and do it again. So negative mindset, but first Jaime Escalante mindset. So what is this mindset? We're talking about the way you operate. Everything in your life. How you behave, your attitude, the filter through which you see things. But here's the thing you have to remember. We've got to do this every year, this assessment. Do they still hold water? Do we need to revise our thinking in light of something? Because sometimes we develop these tenets and they really don't work. Okay, and the last one is this. We want to minimize our hypocrisies. Every one of us, as mentioned in your group yesterday, we walk into our buildings every day. We negotiate with ourselves for what level of hypocrisy we will tolerate today. And some days we're tolerant of hypocrisy than we should be. Can you fight the good fight 51% of the time or more? In other words, majority of the time, can you do it? Yeah. But to say, I can't do it all the time, so I won't do it at all, that's not an acceptable mindset. So we've got to find out, is it constructive, or is it destructive, or indifferent, and cynical, complacent, because that's just as bad as some of those others. I would suggest, if you're thinking about a mindset, you might think about a respected colleague. What would they do? And it kind of ignites your fire. So I'm thinking, in this situation, which is really important to this child's future or this school's future, what would Dick Kreitzar do? Oh wait, I can't really do that. He's too wild. But no, I can do this. But it gave me a little push. We can do that. And I found every single time that leadership decides to create a moral imperative, teachers change what they do. They change their thinking. Is this just? Is it unjust? Is it moral, immoral, ethical, unethical? And suddenly you go there. If we as leadership give them graphs and data charts and show, look, if we do this, we get an increase in performance of 2.67%.